Hi, this is Terry from Bonsai Tree, and today I'm going to show you how to clean and sharpen various bonsai tools. After investing in your bonsai tools, with time, with use, they do build up a sap deposit, just dirt, oxidation from the elements, and you need to clean them off. Clean tools, or should I say the residue that forms on the tools, very often leads to the tools blunting prematurely and could actually damage the tools. It pits the material. So it's a good idea to remove the deposit, especially when you're pruning plants that produce a fair amount of sap, like your ficus and your pinus species. But all trees will be exuding a little bit of sap when you cut it, and that accumulates on your blades. The items that you're going to need for cleaning and sharpening your tools will be firstly the cremate block. And this is something that lasts a very long time, so you can clean many tools with one of these blocks. And then also I prefer, and it's recommended, that you use a natural oil and not a synthetic oil for cleaning and lubricating your tools. This is camellia oil, but we sell jojoba oil, and that is also an organic oil, so recommended for use. And the idea behind, or the recommendation, is based on the fact that you don't ideally want synthetic oils coming into contact with the exposed plant material once you've cut it. And then for sharpening, these DMT diamond impregnated sharpening files are great, very portable. They come in 3 different grades, from a coarse, a medium and a fine, very clearly color coded. You can use a ring just to keep the three of the files together, and that way you can it makes them very portable. You can carry them with you in your tool roll, take them with you, or keep them in your workspace. Okay, so first we're going to take a pair of scissors and do a bit of a cleaning job on them. As you can see, we have a lot of resin that's built up, and we're going to remove that first. So we take a bit of oil, place it on the blade and also at the joint, the mechanism. Just want to make sure that they are moving very freely. And then we take the cremate block and you just rub it onto the surface of the blade, and you can see it's removed the sap very quickly and very easily, and we're going to repeat that on all 4 sides. Once that's completed, you can just wipe off the residue or the excess oil. Then we come to the next step, which is sharpening. Now, if you haven't sharpened your tools for some time, or if there are nicks that have been put into the blade by cutting too thick a material, or perhaps accidentally cutting wire, then you're going to have to start with the blue file, which is the coarse, and then work down to the green, which is the very fine or smooth one. I try to keep my tools sharp or sharpened frequently, so I'm going to, and there's no nicks in these blades, so I'm just going to go straight to the fine blade. Carefully hold the scissors quite sturdily in your hand, and then you're going to work in a single direction and at the right angle, which you'll have to it takes a little bit of experience to get. You're going to run the file along the cutting edge, probably around 5-10 times, depending, again, as I say, how blunt the tool is to begin with. I would recommend that you don't run the files backwards and forwards over the cutting edge, because this typically gives you a rounded edge rather than a flat edge. If you have to start with a coarse file during the sharpening, you might find that you'll get a burr developing on the inside of the blade. So each step of the way, I would recommend that you remove that burr, and in our case, we just needed the fine file. So I'm just going to take that burr off by 2 or 3 times passing the file on the blade. You don't really need to do it much, and the idea is to keep it perfectly flat, and then we can just clean off the blade again, and then that one is done. A lot of people ask me how to sharpen branch cutters. They are one of the most frequently used bonsai tools, specialist bonsai tools, and they present a bit more of a challenge than sharpening scissors. So the first step is to once again clean, but we can inspect the tool first, and if you hold the tool up to the light and you look through the back of the blades, if you see any light passing through where the 2 blades meet, then part of the objective with the sharpening will be to eliminate that. It's also important to notice that the way the blades slightly overlap how they meet at the cutting edge, and you need to reproduce that. So you have to work very carefully and in order not to have these cutting edges misalign. If they do misalign, you'll find that the branch cutters will tend to rip the fibers of the tree branches rather than cutting it cleanly. So the first step is to first lubricate the joint and also place a little bit of the oil on the surfaces that you're going to sharpen. Although the diamond sharpeners don't require any lubrication, but just to get the tool cleaned, we do need a little bit of oil. So first we're going to take our cremate block, and we're just going to get rid of that residue, plant sap residue. Now the inside of the cutters also needs to be cleaned. Depending on the tool and the amount of resin that's been allowed to build up in there, you might actually would be better off using a steel brush. We do sell a range of brushes to suit different applications, from the nylon brush all the way through to the iron brush. Just be careful when doing this, because the blades can be rather sharp and you can injure yourself. Part of the reason for cleaning the tools first is to remove that resin so that it also doesn't clog up your sharpener. Just wipe away the residue or the residual oil. If you feel there's no tool moves freely and there's no debris that's stuck between the moving parts. Now, as I've got a few nicks in this one, you'll see on this cutting edge here, there's a few nicks in the blade. So we need to get that out first. So I'm going to start with the coarse file, which is the blue one, and I'm going to work from the inside to the outside. After removing the nicks, you can then move on to the next file, which is the red medium grit. And then finally we're going to use the finest file, which is the green one. There will be a slight burr on the inside of the blade, so you can just carefully remove the burr. And that branch cutter is now, the edges are aligning perfectly. There's no light that's shining through, and these will cut a lot cleaner now. If you've done a good job of sharpening your branch cutters, then the cut that it produces should be very clean. There should be no wood fibers, no ripping. It should be a perfectly clean cut. Anyway, that's it for today, and as I say, I hope you've benefited somewhat from watching the video. Thank you very much.